Before to define place and manner of articulation, I will to explain what is articulation. Articulation is held to be a distinctive character of our spoken speech, has concerted but with inarticulate utterance, and with the more or less analog utterance of the lower animals. And the articulation also is the act of expressing something in a current verbal forms, or an aspect of pronunciation involving in articulatory organs. Definition of place of articulation. Place of articulation is active articulator, typically part of tongue, and passive location, typically some part of the mouth. The manner of articulation and the pronunciation is give the consonant distinctive sounds. The place of articulation refers to the point of the vocal tract when the sound speech organ restricting the passage of air in some way to producing distinctive speech of sounds. Definition of manner of articulation. Manner of articulation is how speech organs involved in making sound make a contact. The manner of articulation is how airstream is affected through to your vocal tract. Essentially, the manner of the articulation to describe how air is modified to create a different speed of sounds. Place of articulation. When we describe and produce consonant, we use vocal tract. That consonant some describe physical landmark. In describing the place of articulations, we describing in vocal tract a sound made. An articulator is the part of the oral tract that are used in production speech of sounds.
The first one is bilabial. Bilabial occur when we block or constrict airflow out of the mouth by bringing our lips together. Bilabial itu adalah konsonan yang diartikulasi menggunakan kedua belah bibir. For the example is P, B, and M. P as in like purse, pure, plain, and etc. And B as in black, bag, etc. And the last M as in mat, making, claim, etc. Then labiodental. Labiodental is occur when we block or constrict airflow by settling our lower lip back and raising it to touch our row of teeth. Labiodental itu adalah konsonan yang diartikulasi menggunakan bibir bagian bawah dan gigi bagian atas. For the example is F and V. F as in fro and V as in like fine or have. Then dental. Dental occur when we block or constrict airflow by placing our slimy tongue against our upper teeth. Dental itu adalah konsonan yang diartikulasi dengan lidah menyentuh gigi atas. For the example is there's in word thick and bad, and also the and rather. Then alveolar. Alveolar occurs when we raise our tongue to the alveolar ridge to block or constrict airflow. Jadi alveolar itu adalah konsonan yang diartikulasi menggunakan ujung lidah. The English alveolar consonants is N, T, D, S, Z, and L. N as in no, man. S as in sweet or bass. T as in tap or rat. D as in deep, bad. Z as in zit or jazz. And the last L as in luck, lucky, fully, and etc. Post-alveolar. Post-alveolar is occur when the tongue blocks or constrict airflows at the point just beyond the alveolar ridge. Jadi post-alveolar itu adalah konsonan yang diartikulasikan dengan lidah lebih dekat atau menyentuh bagian belakang alveolar ridge, lebih jauh ke belakang mulut daripada konsonan alveolar. The post-alveolar English consonants, there's 4 kinds. In the word like short or breast, and then fission or measure, and then cheek, match, and the last is in the word jam, beige, or bright. Then palatal. Palatal consonants is when we raise the tongue to this point and constrict airflow. Konsonan palatal adalah konsonan yang diartikulasikan dengan menempatkan bagian depan lidah di dekat atau pada langit-langit keras. English has only one palatal consonant. It is Y, as in like yes, or bay, or and etc. Velar. Velar consonant is occur when we raise the back of our tongue to the velum to block or restrict airflow. Jadi konsonan velar adalah konsonan yang bersumber dari bagian belakang lidah yang menyentuh langit-langit lembut, yaitu bagian belakang langit-langit mulut. English has 4 velar consonant. There are in the word going, uncle, and then K as in kite and back, then G as in good or buck or back, and then the last V or W in the word web, Howard, wait, and etc.
Okay, we move to the manner of articulation. As well as we knowing where a sound is made, we need to know how it's made. Consonant involve at least 2 articulators. When the articulators are both closer together, the flow of air between them changes. For instance, it can be stopped or made turbulent. the channel between any two articulators governs the pressure and flow of air through the vocal tract, and in this effect the kind of sound that's come out. The way a sound is made rather than where it's made, it's called manner of articulation. The manner of articulation is the way the airstream is effected as it flows from the lungs and out the nose and mouth. There are 6 different manners of English articulation.
Manner of articulation have 6 kinds. There are stop, fricative, applicative, nasal, liquid, and glide. The first one is stop. Stop consonant is occur when the vocal tract is closed completely. But for stops, the airflow is not redirected to the nose. Instead, the air quickly builds up pressure behind the articulators and then releases in a thrust. Example, it is P, B, T, D, K, and G. The second is fricative. Fricative sounds involve only a partial blockage of the vocal tract, so that air has to be pushed through narrow channel. For the example is F, V, S, Z, H, and etc. Then applicative. An applicative is a consonant characterized as having both a fricative and a stop manner of production. Example, it is G, as in like gem or bright. Then nasal. Nasal consonants are created when you completely block airflow through your mouth and let the air pass through your nose. Example, M, N, and etc. Then liquid. Liquid is a generic label used to classify 2 English approximant consonants. For the example is L and R. The last one is glide. A glide is a consonant characterized by a continued gliding motion and of the articulation into the following vowel. Also referred to as a semivowel. Example, W and J.
Okay, the last part is the conclusion of place and manner of articulation. The place of articulation refers to the point in the vocal tract where the speech organs restrict the passage of air in some way to producing distinctive speech sounds. As with the manner of articulation, place of articulation are more frequently used to describe consonants than vowels. The sound variation created by these vocal apertures are known as the manner of articulation. In other words, the manner of articulation refers to the ways in which sound is altered by manipulation of the flow of the airstream from the lungs. The manner of articulation is the way the air stream is affected as it flows from the lungs and out to the nose and mouth. Okay, we hope go to the through all of this place of articulation really helps you get the better grasp of how speech sound are made. There is a lot more thing. There is a lot more thing to making a speech sound, but place of articulation of our building block the must learn before you go on to the learn other things. The way to practice remembering the place of articulation is by just using your tongue and going from your lips to your teeth to the top of your mouth and name each part of your mouth while filling it with your tongue. You can even also practice saying each sound as well. And the best way to remember the manners of articulation are to just really pay attention and listen to the sound that you are making. With enough practice, you will get it after a while. Okay, that's all that I can talk to you about our presentation. If we are have much error pronunciation, we are apologizing, and thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.